Throughout my spiritual journey, I have witnessed countless souls awakening to this innate truth. I've seen ordinary people, without any outward sign of greatness, reveal an impressive spiritual depth when they began to believe in their own abilities. I'm James. My own search for meaning and purpose began when I felt lost, yearning for a deeper connection with life. On that journey, I learned that there is immense value in sharing experiences and learning from those of others. Now, I'm here to invite you to join this spiritual adventure. I remember a simple man, a gardener, who, when he started meditating and practicing gratitude, transformed his life and the lives of many around him. He became a beacon of light in his community, proving that connecting with higher energies is within everyone's reach. To believe in your ability to connect with these energies and align yourself with the prophecy of the 144,000, it is crucial to first recognize the divine within you. Believing that you are an extension of the universe, endowed with a unique purpose and mission, is the first step. Many of us grew up with doubts and limitations imposed by social and cultural beliefs. However, true spiritual freedom comes when we break these chains and allow ourselves to see beyond the veil of illusion. The scriptures are full of messages encouraging us to trust in our spiritual capacity. In Revelation 7:4, we read about the 144,000 sealed, a symbolic number that represents those who are in perfect harmony with the divine will. This number is not a restrictive limit, but a call to all who feel the awakening in their hearts. In it, the message is clear. Everyone has the potential to achieve this harmony. The selection of the chosen ones is not based on social status, wealth, or power, but on purity of heart and the will to serve the greater good. Many wonder what makes a person a prophetic chosen one of the 144,000 mentioned in the Bible. The answer may seem surprising to some, but it is profoundly simple and accessible to all. Divine selection is not based on social status, wealth, or power, but on purity of heart and the will to serve the greater good. When we think of purity of heart, it is important to understand that this refers to genuine and sincere intentions. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 8, Jesus tells us, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." Purity of heart is not about being perfect, but about being authentic and honest in our efforts to live according to divine principles. It's about acting with love, compassion, and integrity, even when no one is looking. The will to serve the greater good is equally fundamental. This is not a task that requires grand heroic gestures, but rather a daily commitment to do good to the degree that we can. In Matthew chapter 25, verse 40, Jesus teaches, "Truly I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me." This verse reminds us that serving the greater good can be found in the most humble everyday actions, helping a neighbor, listening to someone who needs to vent, or simply being kind and loving to everyone we meet. Being one of the chosen ones is not about accumulating merits or achieving great things. Instead, it's about living a life of service and love. Many of the great spiritual masters lived simply and detached from material possessions, focusing on how they could contribute to the well-being of others. The Dalai Lama, for example, lives a life of simplicity and compassion, teaching that true happiness comes from helping others. To be considered one of the chosen ones, it is crucial to cultivate humility. Humility allows us to recognize that we are all part of a great divine tapestry, where each thread has its own place and purpose. In Philippians chapter 2, verse 3, Paul advises us, "Do nothing out of strife or vainglory, but in humility. Let each esteem others better than himself." This advice is a powerful reminder that true service to the greater good involves putting others before ourselves and acting without expecting recognition or reward. Furthermore, true divine selection transcends all human barriers. It doesn't matter whether you are rich or poor, educated or not, powerful or seemingly insignificant. What matters is the intention of your heart and the sincerity with which you seek to live a life in line with spiritual principles. This is something that anyone can achieve, regardless of their external circumstances. Openness to receiving messages and guidance from higher planes is one of the most fundamental characteristics for those who aim to be counted among the 144,000 prophetic chosen ones. This process requires not only a willingness to listen, but also the courage and determination to act in accordance with God's will. This implies a deep commitment to one's own spiritual evolution and a genuine desire to serve the greater good. To deepen your journey of service and humility, we invite you to take part in the 21-day spiritual challenge. With daily exercises inspired by the teachings of great spiritual masters, you will strengthen your connection with the greater good. Find out more at the link in the first comment attached. First of all, it's important to understand that the higher planes are constantly communicating with us. These messages can manifest in various ways: dreams, intuitions, synchronicities, or even physical signs in our daily lives. In order to be open to these communications, it is essential to cultivate a heightened state of consciousness that allows us to perceive and interpret these messages. The practice of daily meditation, for example, can be a powerful tool for calming the mind and opening the heart, thus facilitating the reception of divine guidance. The Holy Scriptures also offer us examples of figures who were able to hear and act on God's will. In the Old Testament, for example, the prophet Samuel heard God's voice calling him during the night, Samuel 3:4. Although he didn't initially recognize the voice, he was willing to listen, and, with the guidance of the priest Eli, he responded to the divine call. This narrative teaches us that, even if we don't initially recognize higher messages, the willingness to listen and seek guidance is crucial. As well as being open to listening, it is equally important to act on this guidance. Receiving a divine message and not acting on it is like receiving a gift and never opening it. Action is a natural extension of spiritual listening. When we are guided to help someone, to make a difficult choice, or to follow an unexpected path, these actions are tests of our faith and our commitment to the divine will. Hesitation or inaction can lead us away from our spiritual purpose and the blessings in store for us. To prepare for this active listening and action, it is vital to engage in practices that strengthen spiritual connection. In addition to meditation, sincere prayer, reading sacred texts, and participating in spiritual communities can provide support and guidance. These practices create an enabling environment for messages from higher planes to be not only heard, but also understood and applied in our daily lives. Another crucial point is humility. Recognizing that we don't always fully understand the messages we receive and that we need divine guidance to interpret them correctly is a sign of wisdom. Humility allows us to let go of our ego and trust that the divine plan is always the best for us and for the collective. Staying in tune with your intuition and the signs the universe sends you is an essential aspect of the spiritual journey. We often seek answers and guidance from external sources without realizing that true wisdom lies within ourselves. Intuition is a powerful tool that connects us with higher energies and guides us towards our divine purpose. In my experience as a spiritual mentor, I have learned that intuition is like a muscle. The more we use it, the stronger it becomes. I remember a time in my life when I was lost, looking for answers outside of myself. It was only when I started meditating regularly and paying attention to the subtle signals the universe was sending me that I began to hear my inner voice. This change in perspective was transformative and allowed me to make decisions in line with my true self. I encourage you to do the same. Set aside moments in your day to silence your mind and connect with your essence. It could be through meditation, prayer, contact with nature, or any practice that resonates with you. Listen carefully to what arises during these moments of stillness. Intuition can manifest as a feeling, a sudden idea, or even a vision. Trust these insights, as they are messages from your higher self. Signs from the universe are also a form of divine guidance. They can appear in a variety of ways: a conversation with a friend, a book that falls into your hands, repetitive numbers that you see frequently, or even synchronistic events. Paying attention to these signs requires a state of presence and openness. When we are present in the moment, we are able to perceive the subtle messages that the universe sends us. Once, during a period of uncertainty, I began to see the number 11 over and over again. When I researched this, I discovered that this number is associated with intuition and spiritual awakening. This sign encouraged me to trust my path and keep following my inner voice. Since then, I have seen many other signs that guide and comfort me. I share these experiences to show that you too can connect with your intuition and the signs of the universe. It's a continuous process of learning and growth. Don't worry if it seems challenging at first. With practice and patience, you will become more sensitive to this divine guidance. In addition, it's important to keep a pure heart and an open mind. Intuition and signs often come in unexpected forms. If we are bound by rigid expectations, we may not recognize them. Allow yourself to be surprised and trust that the universe is always conspiring in your favor. The Bible reminds us in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5, to trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. This passage highlights the importance of trusting in a wisdom greater than our own, which often communicates with us through intuition and signs. Gratitude is a powerful force that transforms our perception of the world. When we are grateful, we recognize the blessings and miracles that surround us every day. This positive feeling raises our vibration and attunes us to the frequency of divine love. By expressing gratitude, we are actually recognizing life as a sacred gift. In Psalm 100, verse 4, we read, "Enter his gates with thanksgiving, and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and bless his name." This passage reminds us that gratitude opens the door to God's presence. Compassion, on the other hand, is the manifestation of unconditional love in action. When we feel compassion, we see the suffering of others and are moved to alleviate that pain. The practice of compassion connects us directly with the essence of divine love, as it is a reflection of God's goodness and mercy. In Matthew 25, verse 40, Jesus teaches us, "Truly I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these my brethren, you did it to me." This passage illustrates that acts of compassion are actually services rendered to God Himself. To incorporate gratitude and compassion into all areas of your life, start with small daily acts. Give thanks for the food you eat, for the roof over your head, for the people around you. Each thank you is a seed planted in the garden of your soul, which will blossom into blessings and joy. In the same way, practice compassion in your daily interactions. Listen attentively. Offer help without expecting anything in return. Be patient and understanding. These actions not only benefit others, but also purify your heart. It is important to remember that gratitude and compassion should not be practiced mechanically or superficially. They must spring genuinely from your heart. When you are truly grateful and compassionate, these qualities resonate with a high frequency that attracts higher energies and attunes you to divine will. The 144,000 prophetic chosen ones mentioned in the book of Revelation are those who vibrate at the frequency of unconditional love. They are not chosen for their wealth, power, or social status, but for the purity of their hearts and their ability to love unconditionally. By practicing gratitude and compassion, you harmonize your being with this high frequency, becoming a channel of light and love in the world. Remember that practicing gratitude and compassion is an ongoing process. Don't be discouraged if you face difficulties or realize that you still have a lot to evolve. Every step taken with sincerity and love is a step towards your spiritual ascension. The real reward is not external recognition, but internal transformation and a deep connection with the divine. When we talk about the path of the chosen ones, one of the most overlooked aspects is the need to prepare to face challenges and overcome obstacles. The spiritual journey is not a path of roses. It is a path full of learning, tests, and tribulations. Remember, in the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. John 16:33. This passage reminds us that although obstacles are inevitable, victory is guaranteed for those who keep the faith. Firstly, it is essential to understand that challenges are not punishments but opportunities for spiritual growth. Each difficulty we face has the potential to strengthen us, make us more resilient, and bring us closer to our divine essence. Imagine yourself as a raw metal being subjected to fire. The intense heat does not destroy the metal. On the contrary, it purifies it, removing its impurities and making it stronger and more valuable. So too are the challenges in our lives. They are the furnaces that purify and shape us. Preparing to face challenges involves strengthening both the body and the spirit. Practices such as meditation, prayer, and fasting are powerful tools that help us maintain balance and mental clarity. Meditation, for example, teaches us to observe our thoughts and emotions without identifying with them, allowing us to respond to challenges with serenity and wisdom. Prayer, on the other hand, connects us with the divine, gives us strength, and reminds us that we are not alone. As it says in Philippians 4:6-7, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything let your requests be made known to God by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your thoughts in Christ Jesus." In addition, it is vital to maintain a mindset of continuous learning. Every obstacle we face brings with it a valuable lesson. Always ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? How can I grow from this challenge? This attitude not only makes it easier to overcome obstacles, but also accelerates our spiritual progress. The humility to recognize that we still have a lot to learn is a fundamental characteristic of the chosen ones. Another crucial point is the spiritual support network. No one is an island, and even the most enlightened spiritual masters have had mentors and communities who have supported them on their journeys. Surround yourself with people who share your faith and can offer advice, prayers, and encouragement. As it is written in Ecclesiastes 4:9-10, "It is better to be two than one, for they have better pay for their work. For if one falls, the other lifts up his companion, but woe to him who is alone, for if he falls, there is no one to lift him up." Finally, remember that every challenge overcome is a victory that brings us closer to our divine purpose. The road may be arduous, but the rewards are immeasurable. Every obstacle overcome is one less stone on the path, and proof that we are fit to be one of the 144,000 prophetic chosen ones. Keep the faith, the courage, and the determination, knowing that your effort is not in vain. As promised in James 1:12, "Blessed is the man who endures hardship with perseverance, for when he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him." Humility and simplicity are indispensable virtues on the spiritual path, especially for those who aspire to be counted among the 144,000 chosen prophets. In a world often dominated by ego and the incessant quest for recognition and status, cultivating these qualities can seem like a challenge. However, it is precisely this countercurrent that distinguishes the true seekers of divine light. Humility, in its essence, is the recognition that we are parts of a greater whole. We are not self-sufficient. We depend on each other and, above all, on divine grace. Jesus taught us this clearly when he said, "Blessed are the humble, for they shall inherit the earth." Matthew 5:5. He wasn't just talking about a distant future, but a reality that manifests itself when we live in harmony with God's will. Humility allows us to recognize our limitations and accept that, without divine support, our achievements are ephemeral and empty. Humility also manifests itself in the ability to listen and learn from others. Too often, the ego blinds us to the valuable lessons we can receive from people around us, regardless of their social position or academic knowledge. True wisdom makes no distinction between classes or titles. It reveals itself through experience and connection with the divine. To be humble is to be open to these lessons, to recognize that truth can come from anywhere. Alongside humility, simplicity is a virtue that helps us stay focused on what really matters. We live in a world full of distractions, where the accumulation of material goods and the search for instant pleasure are often seen as life goals. However, these pursuits rarely bring true happiness or inner peace. Simplicity invites us to live with less, to value what is essential, and to find joy in the little things. A clear example of simplicity can be found in the life of Saint Francis of Assisi. He renounced all material wealth in order to live a life of service and devotion. His simple but deeply spiritual life touched and continues to touch millions of lives around the world. He showed us that true wealth does not lie in possessing but in giving and serving others. To be counted among the 144,000 chosen, it is essential that we abandon the ego. The ego is the source of much of our pain and suffering. It separates us from others and from the divine, creating a false sense of superiority or inferiority. When we free ourselves from the ego, we make room for true connection with the divine and with our fellow human beings. This openness allows us to serve the common good in a more effective and loving way. Furthermore, letting go of the ego allows us to experience true freedom. We are no longer slaves to the opinions of others or the expectations of society. We can live according to our true nature, which is loving, compassionate, and generous. This freedom enables us to fulfill our divine mission with joy and determination. Don't let yourself be carried away by fear or doubt, because trust in your mission and in divine protection is fundamental to becoming one of the chosen ones. Dear seekers of light and truth, today I want to talk about a crucial aspect of the spiritual journey: trust. On my path as a spiritual mentor, I have seen many talented and deeply spiritual individuals fall into the traps of fear and doubt, preventing them from reaching their full potential. I want to assure you that in order to become one of the chosen ones, it is essential to trust in your mission and believe in divine protection. Since I began my spiritual journey, I have faced countless challenges that have tested my faith. There were times when doubt seemed like a constant shadow, and fear whispered in my ears, trying to convince me that I wasn't worthy or capable. However, whenever I allowed myself to silence these inner noises and trust in my mission, I realized that divine providence was by my side, guiding and protecting me. I remember one episode in particular, when I was on a spiritual retreat in the mountains. During a deep meditation, I was seized by an overwhelming feeling of inadequacy. I wondered if I was really on the right path, if I was worthy of receiving the messages and guidance from the higher planes. Then, as I opened my eyes, I saw a butterfly land gently on my hand. At that moment, I understood that it was a divine sign, a reminder that I was not alone and that my mission was true. The butterfly, a symbol of transformation and renewal, showed me that, like her, I too was in a process of spiritual metamorphosis. It is crucial that each of you finds your own signs and reminders of the divine presence. Perhaps it's a word from a friend, a revealing dream, or even an inexplicable feeling of peace. These signs are proof that you are on the right path and that divine protection is always present. Confidence in your mission is not just a matter of blind faith, but of recognizing and honoring your intuition and the signs the universe sends you. Scripture teaches us in Psalms chapter 23, verse 4, "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." This verse reminds us that even in the darkest moments, God's presence is with us, guiding and protecting us. So don't let fear and doubt dim the light within you. Remember that you have a unique and special mission, and that trust in yourself and in divine protection is fundamental to accomplishing it. I encourage you to practice affirming your trust every day, whether through prayer, meditation, or simply giving thanks for the day that has passed.